Welcome to the Ellie Ghost channel. Before we begin the video, there is a link to donate to help support the channel in the description. r/high strangeness. What do you swear you saw, but don't have any proof of? Me and my neighbor saw a guy levitating, literally floating in the air, getting into position, and then flying with his face up. We just looked at each other and said WTF. Neighbor moved out because he was scared of the floating guy reaching our apartments. We lived in the last floor of an apartment complex. This was around 2012. Mobile camera quality was really poor, and we were so shocked we did not reach out for our phones. In 2005, me and about 20 to 30 people witnessed a major UFO event. We saw a bunch of UFOs moving in W2C at around 5 a.m. in the morning. We saw 40 to 50 objects moving in constant speed while making maneuvers, then accelerating and getting out of view. Everyone was in denial of what we saw that day. Did he float up slow like a balloon or fast? It was fast, not like a balloon. It had legs, arms and a face. It went in a straight line to around 40 feet above the ground, then changed direction and started flying in a straight line facing the sky. It was of a black color. What was he doing before he flew? What was he wearing? So we lived in the last floor of the apartment complex. We had just returned from classes at the university and were chatting. We looked at the street, and there was this guy dressed in black clothing. His face was covered with a black plastic-like bag. Then he just started levitating in a straight position until it reached 40 feet above the ground. Its body rotated 90 degrees and started moving. I know this sounds insane, but it's true. Me and my ex-boyfriend's 12-year-old son were walking into Quick Trip in Wisconsin, and a huge drone, I'm talking size of a car, made zero noise, hovered over Quick Trip literally right over us, and we both saw it, looked at each other and bolted back to the truck. As quick as it came, it was gone. We still talk about it to this day because it was so unbelievable. I looked all over Google to find if it could have been a manned drone, but I couldn't find anything that looked like what we saw. When I was 5 many moons ago, I saw a huge left hand hanging down from the sky, the size of several football pitches, just hanging relaxed with the wrist into the clouds of space. Was there for several hours. No one saw it, only me. Freaked me out. My sister had to walk me thin long way to school as to be as far away from the hand as possible. Didn't feel threatening but odd and unexplainable. I do however remember saying big hand come down the night before playing some game in the street. Sounds crazy, I know, but it happened. When I was younger, I saw a bodiless clown face with sharp teeth and yellow cat eyes physically move itself from a wall into a mirror in my old bedroom. It's also a reason why to this day as an adult I have a phobia of clowns that was traumatizing. Both these experiences happened when I was a child. The first, when I was 7 and had stayed up past midnight. I went into the upstairs bathroom, and to my surprise, my pupils had turned blood red like in the old-timey photographs, like I had Android Terminator eyes. I stared in amazement for about 15 minutes, then went to bed, terrified. My eyes have never done that in a mirror since. The second, when I was around 10, I was in the kitchen playing with Mighty Max action figures. Mighty Max were tiny little action figures. Next thing I knew, one of the action figures flew up into the air 3 feet and back down, perfectly vertical and impossibly fast. It defied the laws of physics, and to this day I still can't explain it. When I was a kid, me and my brother were in the den playing original Xbox. It was pretty late at night, and it was raining and thundering. When lightning struck, I saw 4 gray aliens crouching underneath my picnic table outside. A couple days later, we were in the same den, and we saw a face pressed up against the windows behind the couch. It had no hard details, it was all same tone and had huge black eyes. We ran to my stepmom, he's my stepbrother, and she saw it and hid us all in her and my dad's room and called my dad to come home. He came home with his gun and went out and checked, but nothing was there. Nobody remembers these stories but me, and it's been so long I start to wonder if it really happened. r/conspiracy. What is something you swear you saw, but don't have any proof of? Clarksville, Tennessee, September 2015. I was outside on my new home's patio, talking on the phone. It was nighttime. The house was situated on a tree line, and I had a privacy fence. I heard a noise unlike any noise I've ever heard from a human or an animal. It was a guttural growl and hiss, mauling. I cannot articulate it. I looked towards the fence and tree line, and in the right corner, something with red eyes stared at me. It was taller than the fence. I could tell it wasn't a bird. It moved more like something that seemed to be standing, walking with legs. Nothing before nor since has ever made eye contact with me that I felt in my core. It was fixated on me, curiously, as if it were seeing a human for the first time. I quickly went into my house. I couldn't see nor hear anything else. I am still processing it all these years later. I can hear the sound in my mind so clearly. Lived there for about 3 years and never saw it again, but had other strange experiences that mostly seemed related to being outside, on the land. Not so much the house, as in I'd see, or believe I kept seeing glowing orbs deep into the tree line from my upstairs window. Sometime white orange orbs, sometimes red. From my understanding, Google owned the land behind my property. I sold the house last year. Renters never reported anything. I still grapple with closure. A Reddit user posted a reply but later deleted it, so another user posted what they remembered from it. The post goes as follows. That's a shame they deleted it. Here's what I remember, but my memory might not be perfect. So, a new high school was built, pretty sure it was in the US, and the guy who posted had started at this new school. All of the classrooms were on the upper floors of the building. None were in the basement. On the first day at the new school, the guy and his friend were excited at being in a new building. They decided to explore and went down to the basement. To their surprise, they found various classrooms filled with kids but no teachers. But the kids were acting weird and just sitting staring straight ahead, not talking. Then two teachers appeared in the hallway and started acting strange and surprised towards at the guy and his friend. I think he said they were laughing and trying to usher them away, being like, "You don't belong here." I might not be remembering this part right. The guy and his friend felt uncomfortable and left. When they asked the other school teachers about it, they said, "What are you talking about? There are no classrooms in the basement." I think the guy and his friend went back to the basement at a later date, and no classrooms were there. It was eerie and made me think of that gate program Reddit conspiracy. There are various threads on it. Not sure if I'm allowed to link. Went to a drive-through car wash and saw an insect flying through it coming towards my car. It was flying from side to side, all whimsical like lololo. As it got closer, we could see that it had a human body with a large green head. No facial features though. Then it ran up my windshield for about 3 steps before it jumped and flew into the woods. It had knees and elbows. I turned to my girlfriend and she goes, "Was that an effing fairy?" And I said, "You saw that too. Did you see his little knees and feet?" I tend not to tell people this story because it's so absurd, but it happened. R/ask, what do you swear you saw, but don't have any proof of? A ghost. When I was a child, in my aunt's house in the South Bronx, circa 1978 to 1986, there was a large closet off of my bedroom as a child. My clothes were hung on a bar that went along one wall of the closet. The wall across from the clothes wall had a window that faced the front of the house and looked out over the city street. My toy chest with flip-open lid sat right under the window, and I would crawl onto it to look out the window. When I went to play with my marbles on the top of my toy chest or look out the window, I would always hear whispering behind me, in my clothes. One day, my curiosity got the best of me and I moved the clothes to the side and parted them, and there was this face in the darkness, pale, damaged, like it had been beaten severely, and with a menacing grin on its face. I screamed and ran to my mother and told her what I saw and all the whispering that it had been saying to me over the weeks before seeing it. My mother seemed to pay me no mind, but I found out as an adult what she did about the problem. My mother told me that she heard rumors that the original owner of my aunt's house was beaten to death by her husband, and when he went to jail the children sold the house to my aunt. My mother told me that she heard rumors that the original owner of my aunt's house was beaten to death by her husband, and when he went to jail the children sold the house to my aunt. My mother believed in ghosts and had the local priest come into the house while I was at school for the day and cleanse the house. She told me that as the priest finished his ceremony that she could hear heavy footsteps running down the 2 flights of stairs of the house, and then hear the front door of the house open and slam shut. She told me that after that day I didn't have any problems with hearing voices or seeing dead people in my walk-in closet. To situations. Driving to my buddy's house in the midday with his dad driving us. He's in the passenger and I am in the back seat right behind. I glance out the window and a fire hydrant next to us as we're passing is glitching the F out. The bottom off normal, the top of it and a bit of the background are a pixelated cluster F of all the surrounding colors as well as the yellow shade of the hydrant. I watched it snap back into place. I asked my buddy if he saw what I saw. Just you, did you? He says the hydrant. We silently freaked the F out together over this, never seen anything like it. Second was an apparition of a child. It stood among my brother, his friend, and we thought it was my other brother, a 7-year-old at the time. We all saw him in our peripherals. Upon observation, he vanished and we all freaked out. Some time later I was rushed and passed by a massive brown swirling thing in the apartment building hallway. Same place the child was in. Made me poop my pants and run right inside our apartment. Upon entering, my grandma and mother are sitting at the table. They calmed me down and then explained they saw a silhouette standing right outside the door and then leave quickly just before I ran inside screaming. We had a door that had a glass pane in the center. The building was old as F. Life is effing weird. Who knows what it is and what's out there? r/paranormal. What do you swear you saw, but don't have any memory of? Years ago I saw a very tall creature in my home peering out of my laundry room. It surprised me and I think I surprised it because I came home early from work that day. It was faceless but almost looked like something in a white latex rubber suit. Honest to God, I know how ridiculous that sounds. It saw me, almost recoiled like a snake, and then it was gone. Then last year my grandma told me about the rubber suit man she saw in her laundry room without ever knowing about my rubber suit man. She lives in another house on my property. I was just absolutely shocked. I have no proof of what I saw, she has no proof, but we both most likely saw the same thing in our own laundry rooms. I saw someone sitting in the closet cross-legged on the floor. It was in one of the spare bedrooms I was sleeping in at my grandma's. They had on like a burnt orange sweater and like a 70s feathered-like hairstyle that men wore back then. Mind you, this was like in the 90s. I couldn't have been more than 7 at the time. I woke up because I felt like someone was watching me. I looked at the closet and as they sat there they waved at me. I screamed. When my dad came in the room and turned on the light, nothing was there. The detail I could describe and remember felt so real. I didn't sleep for what felt like weeks after that. And I never slept with the closet door open again. When I was around 12 I moved to Hong Kong, stayed in a new house that my parents bought. I've always felt some type of way in the house, but I couldn't really tell. The first time that I've seen something unusual was when I was going down the stairs around 2-3 am. On the second floor there is a fish tank and something like a female head popped out of it, but I thought that I was too sleepy. I did tell my parents, but they told me I was crazy. I didn't think much of it, but until the next time I encountered them again. After 1 or 2 years noon, Dad home tutoring with a new teacher. She told me to go to my room and get some books, so I went downstairs. My room's light switch is on the left aligned with door, and once you open the door my bed is on the center. So when I opened the door, there was a dim light coming into the room, but I'm pretty sure I saw something squatting next to the edge of the bed. And I'm a split second it looked like the head or something turned when I opened the door. I was freaked out, so I took the books as fast as I could and left. Finished the class and I wasn't gonna go back to the room, but eventually I had to sleep. Up until then I was still iffy about it. So I actually decided to go into my room really quick, and I told myself if I see nothing I'm sleeping there. But the same thing, opened the door and saw it. But this time it was sitting on the edge of the bed. I ran to my parents' rooms and asked to sleep on the couch. Told them everything, but they said if you don't bother the entities they won't bother you, they might just be here to hang out. like we hang out in diff places. But just so happens that you sometimes are able to see them, so my 14-year-old self decided to trust in my parents, but I never slept in my room again. Thank you all for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video. The rain sound in the background is something new I wanted to try, but let me know if it's too distracting. Anyways, please subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. I may be trying other styles of videos in the future as well. Until next time, the Ellie Ghost.